Brett Okamoto alongside Bo Nickal, UFC 309, New York City, Madison Square Garden. This is just another check off the box, man. I mean, your career has always been happening in hyperdrive.
Right.
A lot of guys don't get to get on a pay-per-view card until later in their career. You've done that, Vegas, the big show, and now Madison Square Garden. Where does this rank in terms of some of the bigger stuff that you've done so far?
Man, it feels like the biggest for me. I'm really excited just to compete, and I was able actually to compete in MSG as a freshman in college, and at the NCAA tournament, and it didn't go well. It was the only one I lost, so I'm looking to get a little redemption, and I'm excited about it.
And the way the card's constructed, I feel like I talk to you about this a lot because I don't know if you're doing this on purpose or not, but you keep showing up on the same cards as John Jones,
yeah,
and you might be sharing a locker room with him that night.
Yeah, it would be cool. We had his last fight, we shared the locker room, shared the card, and so yeah, if we do it again, it'd be great. Couple dubs coming out of that locker room for sure.
I watched the interview, the podcast that you did with Demetrius Johnson. Great conversation between you guys. And you were talking about how you really are valuing development. That you like taking this time between fights, and that you want to continue to evolve your game and take the appropriate steps. When did that change? Because you came off the Contender Series saying that you wanted to go straight to the top, that you were pound-for-pound fighder in a year. So when did that change, and why did it change?
I think that as I've kind of just matured, and I really thinking back to my wrestling career and the way it went, I think that when I shifted my focus from being so goal-oriented to focusing on development, focusing on improvement, that's actually, I think, when I felt a real, my trajectory kind of shift within that sport. And so I'm kind of trying to take that same mindset. And I think that when you do something new, especially for me, I'm very, like I said, very goal-oriented. I'm somebody that's like, I want to achieve this and that, and I'm kind of detailed, disciplined. I'm going to do everything I need to do to achieve that. And I think there's pros and cons with that. And I found that for me, it helps more to just be focused on the day-to-day and enjoying what I do and just improving that way. And I think I find that it not only helps me get there quicker, but it also just helps me have a mindset more focused on gratitude, appreciation, and the positive things rather than the results, right? So I'm just way more focused on the journey, enjoying it, and however long it takes is however long it takes. And I'm not doing this just for the result. I'm doing it because I love it. And so that's kind of where I try to just get back to. Again, I'm very goal-oriented, so sometimes I find myself thinking more on this level of like, I want to win. And then, I kind of got to try to bring myself back and center myself.
And so when you're doing that, I mean, obviously, we only get to see what happens in the cage, and you made it look pretty easy. What have you struggled with? As you're in the gym and you're working on stuff, what has been the hard parts?
There's always struggles anytime you do something new. I think that for me, it's mostly just mental, right? It's like, you get in the gym with tough guys that are experienced, and that doesn't mean every day is easy and you just blow through everybody. Like, you're going to have days that aren't as good. You're going to have days where you get choked out, days where you get hit, stuff like that. And I think that's with any fighter. It's really just how you respond to that. And so for me, if I'm down, like let's say I didn't have as good of a workout as I'd like to, maybe I got more tired than I expected to, it's just that same thing, centering myself, refocusing, and zooming out, thinking about it long term, and also just understanding, like, that's not new to me, right? Like, I've been through that since I was 5 years old, had hard practices, I had ups and downs in my wrestling career, and so, now I get to experience that again, albeit at a little bit of a more at a level where there's more eyes watching, but it's still, in my mind, I try to always just continue to draw back from that experience wrestling that I've been there before, and I've had ups and downs, and yeah, it's for me, like you said, they're not really in the cage so far, but that doesn't mean that won't happen, and so I'm just preparing myself for it.
In terms of this matchup, I know why I'm drawn to it and why I think a lot of people would be drawn to it, but what we see, why we might be drawn to it, and that is if this guy can't, if you don't want the fight to go to the ground, does this guy have any way to get it there?
No, not really. At the end of the day, that's what one of the biggest positives for wrestling is, right? Like, you decide where the fight happens, and you see it time and time again with wrestlers. If they want it on the ground, it'll be on the ground. If they want it on the feet, it'll be on the feet. So that's definitely going to be my choice, and I feel like, I have an advantage on the feet. I think that in grappling-wise, that's definitely his strength, but I also feel like I've improved there a lot and made some big gains in the last few years. So if the fight gets to the ground, I'll feel comfortable there as well.
Yeah, well, like you just said, that's kind of your decision.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you know how they tell kids, like, that stove is hot, don't touch that stove, but you're like, you want to touch
Yeah,
it? And you like seem like the kind of guy who would be like, I kind of want to see what it's like to go down the ground with Paul Craig. It seems like that's something you would want to do on Saturday, yeah?
I'm definitely not afraid of it. You know, for me, I'm coming to this fight just very open. I feel like I don't want to close myself off into, like, this is how I have to win. And, you know, I think visualization is very important, but the way I view visualization is it's almost the vision's, you know, coming to you. It's not something that you're trying to project. And so with this fight, I feel like wherever it goes, I'm going to be confident, comfortable, and I trust my training. I trust my coaches, all the people that have helped me get to this point. And you know, I have a good game plan and a good structure, but it's a loose structure, room to be creative and improvise. Another
thing you said in the lead up to this fight that caught my attention is that you were like, when I get there, when I start to face these guys at the top, I don't want it to be competitive. What did you mean by that? Is that speaking relatively, or are you literally saying like these fights, even against the top of the top, are not going to be competitive?
That's my plan, you know. We'll see when it actually happens, right? I've had wrestling matches where I didn't think they were going to be competitive, and they were. And I've had wrestling matches that I thought were going to be the toughest match of my life, and they ended in 30 seconds. So, you know, for me, the goal is always to dominate every second of the fight, no matter who I'm fighting. And yeah, that's what I'm working to do. It's not to eke out a split decision victory over the guy. I want there to be a big gap between me and the number 2 guy in the world. So that's why I train as hard as I do. It's not so I can be average. I want to be, you know, the best of the best.
Yeah. Last thing for you, and this has kind of been like, and you made it this way, so this is how it's been. You and Khmazat are kind of, you know, you're right there, and it just does seem like, you know, everything's sort of trending in that direction. What did you think of his fight against Robert Whittaker, and where are we in terms of, like, where are these, when do these paths collide?
Yeah, I guess first off, his fight against Whittaker was really impressive. You know, to see somebody do that to a veteran, a guy who's been champion, defended his belt, is that's an incredible feat. So, you know, watching the fight, felt very impressed, and yeah, I think that every time I fight, we get closer. He's obviously quite a ways ahead of me, and, you know, I'm just looking to catch up, and it seems like, you know, as you said, that's kind of an inevitable thing, and as long as I keep winning and he keeps winning, then we'll make it work.
You hope he does?
I hope so, yeah. I was rooting for him to win against Whittaker, and yeah, he did amazing. I also liked, you know, just kind of the lead up, the build up, hearing his kind of interviews and his demeanor. It seemed different, and I felt like I think that we're a lot more similar than what I thought originally, right? Like, I think, you know, just to kind of hear the way he thinks about the sport. He talked about being a dad as well, stuff like that. I've always had a lot of respect for him. I never felt like calling him out was a disrespectful thing. It's like, I think he's the best, so, you know, that's a guy I want to fight.
You think, like, too early to say, but, like, if you have a rival in this sport, that it will be him? Like
it would be great, you know. I don't think we don't really get to choose our rivals, but that would be awesome. And again, like I said, it's not out of a negative space. It's out of a positive space, because I respect him a lot. I think his skills are amazing, and I just want to be the best. So whoever is the best, that's the guy I got to beat.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, obviously, you guys, like you said, keep winning, and you guys are going to be around for a very long time. So I think it is inevitable. We'll get there eventually, but we're going to see Paul Craig first on Saturday. Best of luck. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.